Hey everybody, welcome back. We are just waiting now to find our next match. Do we have any idea which direction we're heading?
We're just gonna follow the TvT
Okay.
because they're ready.
Oh, my webcam is cutting off my head because I have no lights in my room on. Man, I am so fucking good today. I just... Nailing it on all fronts.
Good job, good job. Yeah, because Super wasn't even out of the game yet, and Bly was away, so.
Hey man, I'm down for whatever. It's all good. I'm just trying to
Right then.
center my webcam. Oh, I'm so tilted this morning. I can't get anything to go right.
I can.
Okay, well, we'll get into Apotheosis. You
Yeah.
guys can hear that countdown. It's uThermal versus Optimus.
This time it is a best of 3.
Nice.
I see people talking, I guess, because we brought up graphs and like easy to understand games, and like what esport is the easiest to understand without having played it before. And I'm gonna say, like, honestly, none of them.
Well,
The more that I play a game,
so
the more that I understand it when I watch it.
this is best of 3, by the way, right? Yeah.
Yes.
I was just gonna say really quick. I think that for me, it depends. First off, what do you classify as an esport? Because if you don't classify, like, if you're gonna give really loose definition, just anything competition, then something like Rocket League is super easy to follow. It's pretty simple. Big ball goes in the net, score.
I counts an esport, yeah.
But as far as like I think like the more mainstream stuff, like honestly, I think Overwatch is a little bit more difficult to watch than something like Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
You can see lives on the side.
I guess there's like multiple ways that you understand an esport as well. Because in terms of like goals, I think that Rocket League probably the easiest because it's literally goals, so it's like soccer. StarCraft 2, it's like, I guess, who kills the army usually, but of course not always. And then League of Legends and like MOBAs and stuff, it's like who pushes the points, but sometimes that's not what's winning the game.
Ah, so this is actually a comment I have for. Let's do the intros first. Bottom right side is going to be the red Terran player Optimus.
The top left, as the blue Terran, he is uThermal.
So, oh, I've just lost my train of thought. What were you saying? League of Legends, right? So one of the things about League of Legends and Dota is your typical Dota and League of Legends game. Just like StarCraft to an extent, you know, they've got their really slow build-up phase, their ramp-up phase. There's not a lot of fighting, there's not a lot of ganking level 1, level 3, like you're farming in the lane. Same way in StarCraft, you know, you're just building up your expansions, you're taking expos, no one really fucking proxies that much anymore. I think the difference for me, though, at this point is League of Legends, and I'm not trying to say anything here that one is better than the other, make that perfectly clear before I say this. League of Legends, from everything I've played and everything I've watched, and I used to play significant amounts, by the way, it's almost predictable the way things will go. You know, you farm, you avoid fights as much as possible, don't get ganked, everyone groups up mid, someone's tower dies. Like, StarCraft, however, well, in terms of what should happen can be predictable, what I love isn't. Because every like TvZ, for example, right? That's gonna be the most predictable matchup right now. You get everyone going for the 2 medevac drop, trying to emulate Beyond, Zerg go for Queens. It should be predictable. But what I love about StarCraft, and this is what makes me truly like this game instead of trying to jump ship and go for other games, is like, it's not always the case. It's like, okay, you've got those 2 medevacs, but how do you use those 2 medevacs that are so different from player to player? You watch somebody like Beyond, it looks flawless. The guy goes in, he's super aggressive, it's crazy. Then you watch other Terran players try and emulate that, and they can't even get past the damn Queens. Like, it's a very different game immediately.
I really don't have enough experience with other games to comment on that, I suppose, because if it was true that it was so predictable in League of Legends, then you would always know who would win, and there'd be no faker who like outshined everyone else.
Yeah, and I want to make it clear too, guys. Like, it's not every game is predictable. Like, I'm not trying to make that out either. Like, I'm just saying it's, for me, the expected follows up in the other games. The expected doesn't always follow up here, I guess.
Maybe. I still like just focus on like, because whenever I would hear so many times like StarCraft 2 is easy to watch because it's armies versus armies, but like League of Legends is hard because, you know, like there's 5 people doing like a bunch of different things all over the map that have different roles. Where at least in StarCraft 2, it's like army versus army.
Well, what's
and I
that
kind of get that point.
with Flash, like the other team play, the other guy controlled his 5 units pretty well or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And I get that too, but For me, it's like, okay, the complication arises in one, can you tell how people win the game very easily? And two, can you tell what's going on specifically very easily? Because that's where I think Overwatch and League of Legends gets me, right? Is that everything happens together in a flash, that it's very difficult as the observer to catch everything that went on. At least in StarCraft 2, as much as we complain about being fast and game over really soon, like with Widowmine shots, at least you kind of know like that's what happened. You weren't like, wait, was that a Widowmine shot, a tank shot, a depth shot, or was it like someone from like over the other side of the map that sent like an arrow through, and that's how the guy won?
Well,
but the more that you play the games, the more that you understand it was Reinhardt's hammer that first affected it, and then it was blah blah blah, and you can actually see what's going on.
so it's Cloaked Banshee versus Cloaked Banshee, by the way, which I find really interesting.
Yeah.
Final comment I have on this is actually last year we talked to some of the people at the Blizz side of things for StarCraft development, and a question I got asked was like, what if we could simplify StarCraft down to a number, like to make it a lot easier to watch? Like if we could just make it very clear, like 1 to 0 was happening in this game, like then someone was ahead. And I voiced my opinion saying I really didn't like that idea, because the beauty of StarCraft is its complexity. And if you ever take the game to a point where you can reduce it to like one number like that, or one point of focus, like a ball to speak of, like in soccer, then you've probably lost what makes StarCraft 2 so special and great.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's just an interesting conversation, but I think it really does boil down to there might be some ease, like you might be able to show your parents one and they understand it kind of more than the other, but it usually boils down to, have you played the game? Do you know like what the units even do? Because the more you do that and you know that, usually the easier it is to understand. So
the first Banshee got kind of wrecked, but it did stop the SCV from building a third. It does so once again. This one's gonna run in, and the Hellions might just have to sacrifice themselves for the Marines. I don't know. Like, uThermal's not really taking much damage from this. At the same time, his Banshee reaches his opponent's base, but he can't really afford to micro too much right now because he is dancing around at home trying to catch that Banshee of Optimus.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of action going on, and it's kind of weird because it did start off with like 1 base versus 2 base, but it's not going to be really ramped up until they both attempt to reach their third bases. uThermal is trying to get his third base built here. Unfortunately, it is only just started, and it's still being delayed. That Optimus should be sending his CC over right now. We'll just have a straight-up lead in that third command center timing, especially after canceling this one.
Hellions, of course, could have kept dancing around with the Marines if they really wanted to. They had chased that Cyclone for so long, trying to hope to kill it, but nice repairs out of uThermal. Now the Banshee on the other side of the map, I believe the first one was cleaned up. Second one comes in now. It's got quite a bit of energy. That's also quite a few Vikings.
Yeah, with quite a lot of scans for Optimus. So. I did bring up last game, Optimus vs. Ake, that these guys weren't a team together. I don't know how that means. Like, were they friends? Did they practice a lot in TvT? I imagine they practiced at least a little bit.
Were they
might know each other's styles. What?
Nothing. Go on.
Yeah, because I don't think they said anything in the chat to like. I mean, Optimus was like talking to his Ake more than anything else.
That's true. Like sometimes you'll see some of that like buddy banter.
Yeah.
At the same time, maybe Optimus was like, "Fuck you, go to Team Liquid, leave me behind."
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe. But again, I don't know like how much they know each other's styles. But uThermal, man, he is really taking a lot of map presence scouting. That is a lot of Marines out here.
I like it though. The Ketchi's medevacs coming is pretty big. Who's this? Thank you so much to Ink595 for the 27-month resub. Awesome stuff, man.
Mm-hmm. Well, Optimus not only got his base up a little bit quicker and more saturated quicker with more SCVs as well, it's also on a gold base, and uThermal's is not. That should give Optimus quite a lead here. I mean, Optimus is getting leads every now and again. You know, the Banshee killing Command Center is the most obvious one, but then getting the Command Center, like the natural Command Center first as well, when uThermal kind of went on 1 base for a lot longer. It's really reflecting as the game goes on, and he continues getting these leads. I mean, his 1-1 is like 30 seconds faster. His combat shields finishes the whole upgrade ahead of uThermal's. He's got Viking control. Well, actually, he doesn't. He almost does, though. They're almost at an even Viking count. 4 to 5 right now, but I do think that Optimus's army supply should just kind of go through the roof in the next minutes. Whoa, uThermal, playing for the long game. Gets a 4th base already.
The 4th CC, I would say, is almost It's going to help make up for the fact that it didn't take that gold. But the thing about a gold base that's so interesting is it's not, again, like a lot of people misunderstand. It's not that you get like so many extra minerals that you're like hyper fast, hyper mining. You just need less SCVs to get full saturation. Like a fully saturated gold mineral base will mine the same way a fully saturated normal mineral base will.
Optimus is winning in that income advantage pretty hard. It only, I think, dipped down when like he was transferring his base over and uThermal was finishing his base, probably.
This really sucks for uThermal to lose the Vikings like this. Trying to find his best way to just get away from the Marines so maybe he can fight Viking to Viking. Optimus is stimming a lot though, like, oh my god. This is actually really gonna hurt. Like, okay, first off, yeah, dive for those Vikings, get them cool, whatever, but there's so many Marines here that like if this was like one tank shot kills that whole army.
Ooh, this is some nice damage though, and Optimus doesn't realize what's going on. He's still chasing down Medivacs and Vikings. Finally pulls the SCVs after getting 17 of them killed. Moving down to 48. He's probably a little mined out of his main base, so transferring workers to saturate the gold base wasn't that big of a deal. They both have already started their fourths. Well, in fact, uThermal's taking his fourth right now.
Exactly, yeah.
And Optimus like will want to get back up to at least, I think, 55 SCVs, which is not too bad. He's already there, basically. But that was some big damage from uThermal. Optimus still has 20 army supply lead, a lot from those earlier leads. And it's all about how he can use it with the main fight.
Yeah. Now we got a lot of big resubs coming in today. Shandith hitting us with 25 months amongst the many others today. Thank you so much. This 25 months that may be addicted. And Sasha Austin is up with a 9-month resub. Says, hey, Rifkin, my baby grill. I don't know how to respond to that, but thank you and hello.
I didn't know we were in this type of relationship.
Yeah.
Well, it's not really a fight. It's them kind of going around each other.
Well, hold the phone on that zombie guy. This is a base kill, and that's huge.
Yeah, Optimus is not going to get the same thing. Unless he does a Doom Drop in the main base, maybe then he'll even do more damage. Getting top of the production will be better than getting top of the fourth base. But he is not. He's finally starting to move again. That was a lot of uThermal's Marines, but he's been doing this lately. He keeps his Medivacs and his tanks at home, so he can still like shuffle them around and have a good tank count. But then he just uses Marines as his hit squads.
Well, this is where the Vikings from Optimus are going to be great. They push back those Medivacs. The tanks can't do anything about it. There's nothing to shoot up. So with all the Medivacs possibly going down here, the tanks wouldn't possibly be able to reposition in time to deal with this. And as you said, production compromised is huge for Terran. And right now, uThermal's in a bit of trouble. He is trying to counterattack on the other side with some Marines, but unless he goes now, there's even tanks there. So there's not even an option for him.
This is exactly what Optimus needed to do. He was at risk of just slowly losing this game. You know, he was the fourth base, and then he can't get advantage with his army supply. He might start falling behind again in the economy, but killing the production was exactly what he wanted to do. He didn't really kill production. He got a couple of those Medivacs too, which is nice. And he's managing to deflect about 10-15 army supply of uThermal.
Well, I did pick up one of uThermal's factories, which was kind of a big deal. That's going to cut the tank production.
He picked off, like, a couple of barracks, too, right? Where's the structures lost at? What is that again?
Yeah, three barracks in the factory, but also a lot of tech labs and add-ons.
Yeah, that is really good, especially because I think uThermal, you know, because they accelerated so quickly to the fourth base, I'm not sure that they had the, you know, the highest production that you can on 3 bases. I think they're kind of both pushing that off. And uThermal is the one that loses his production.
He does end up cleaning this up, though, at the end of the day. And for him, I mean, okay, production loss, that sucks. But he starts putting down those 3 new barracks. He's got that fourth base still mining. And he's had better money than Optimus because of this little interaction down here. It's hard to say that uThermal is totally screwed by this. He is certainly hurting. There's no doubt about that. But it's interesting to see that there is still the potential for recovery on this. Nice control, by the way, to drop that tank. Wasn't sure if he was paying attention or not. Almost lost both.
It would have to be your recovery, though. Not only the obvious supply difference here, 30 army supply, and the upgrades. At least the upgrades weren't canceled. But it is 5 barracks to 6, and I think soon enough Optimus will be able to afford even 3 more barracks, and 2 factories to 1. So uThermal really has to catch up a lot. He can't spend his money. Well, and I think this is kind of like, right now, a little bit of just habits or like training. He doesn't... This is a point where he slaps down 7 barracks because he never usually has to.
So let me explain though something here that's gonna be kind of interesting, right? Like normally the tanks need the Marines to buffer for them, right? Otherwise the Marines of your opponent just stim on top of your tanks. He's fighting around a planetary. This should still help protect the tanks.
It was 13 tanks to 9.
Yeah, that's true too. Numbers don't lie at the end of the day, and that planetary isn't getting repaired right away, so it does go down. Rip.
Well, Optimus did not get his chance to turn his into a planetary.
No.
So that actually goes down. But is it worth it? If uThermal could reproduce his Marines, which he's doing a decent job of, like 10 Marines is pretty good, okay? But he has 2,000 minerals. And I feel like this is seriously the pro gamer in him that's saying, like, I don't throw down 10 barracks, right? But it's probably better to throw in at least like 2 more command centers or like 3 more barracks and use the minerals than just be banking them up.
I actually think what he's doing is kind of fine for the situation at hand, though. I mean, look at this. He can still take another decent fight in the 7th map. He continues to chase back Optimus's medevacs. Optimus has no money, having lost those bases like this. That's the transfer of like command centers over. I mean, he's struggling to get cash up. uThermal might have too much to spend, but Optimus has not enough.
Well, he should have enough to get things sorted again. Defensively, he's only down 6 army supply. And still with better upgrades. He'll have +2 on his tanks. And he still has tanks. It's 8 tanks to 3. uThermal did get 2 factories, but I think he's only just adding on a tech lab to 1, so he's actually not been producing 2 tanks at a time. Now that he is, he can finally spend his money. He's also got his gold base up.
There are
his 3rd base.
Small little points of control that are really great to watch out of uThermal through this, by the way. Like, whole army moves forward, segments 1 Marine off just to scout so he doesn't walk into siege to tanks. The army, by the way, possibly getting baited out for a fight. We don't know. We're going to see. uThermal goes for the fight, but as you said, upgrades are in the favor of Optimus. There's some tanks on the low ground, too, and uThermal's going to have to back away from this. However, still continuing to pressure into whatever little SCVs were left. This gold base now no longer mining.
Oh, I was wondering where Optimus's tanks were. I was like, why does he only have 3 tanks with that fight? Oh, they're all defending against the tank drop of uThermal. So that is 10 tanks against 5, but uThermal's count is quickly growing. He's finally using most of that bank with his production now, what it should look like. You know, 2 medevacs, 2 tanks, 10 Marines. Even still can't spend all the money. But it's going to come down to an army fight. Like, I can see uThermal winning one pretty hard and then being able to push forward and win the game from there. But the tanks with +2 and a higher number is so scary. He's got to get picks like this.
Well, this is actually pretty good because the tanks are still in the medevacs. He tries to focus down the medevacs for a second. That definitely spooks Optimus. Other side of the map, by the way, did have those tanks come in, start cleaning house. 15 SCVs just died out of Optimus.
Oh, yeah. If only Optimus had his Vikings still. uThermal's getting a lot done with tanks that aren't protected, and that's usually pretty scary.
It is. You know, the thing about this is uThermal's still. Neither of them can really afford to lose units, but Optimus especially can't afford to lose workers. The economy game, I'm going to bring up the graph here as the SCVs get slaughtered to the south, has been uThermal like 10 minutes straight now.
Not really spreading his Marines, but they still power through. Miss picked up that tank. This base can be denied. That's pretty good. Talking about the income, and it has been uThermal winning, but still, like, you know, they're both on pretty desperate situations. I think they're at even command centers. 3 command centers, yeah, 3 orbitals. uThermal did manage to get a 4th one because he was banking around 600 minerals. I think that was totally worth it. But he might lose this orbital.
And he's also getting pushed really hard here on that front line.
Oh, he's distracted. Those Marines are pretty important to protect his tanks, and they're not there anymore. Oh, God.
Well, I think uThermal's got it, man.
I think he does.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Optimus is probably frustrated. Still thinking like, man, I should have won this game like 6 ways to Sunday, and I'm going to agree, like, there's a lot of situations where I was really worried for uThermal, especially when that production got compromised. But as he relands his orbital, he's repairing it up. He's going to go back to that gold-based mining. His army's already looking fan-frickin-tastic. Finally matched up that 3-3.
Yeah, I mean, so much of this has to do with the constant snipes in the 4th base. Sniping his 3rd base, when it was the only base that he had left, getting all those SCVs.
Jeez.
Optimus had like 12 tanks to 5, tried to do something with it, and couldn't. That was the GG point. He's trying to attack in.
Yo, watching him float his barracks away in production, it's like kind of sad because you're like, well, okay, you save all your production buildings, but you still got no money, bro. Like, what are you gonna do with them?
Well, it is his map choice now.
Yeah, he'll get a pick against uThermal. It's gonna be tough for certain because uThermal's is generally a very good Terran player. And see how this proceeds. Gonna hit up a small commercial break though, guys. In the meantime, we'll see you guys in 2 minutes. Thanks for watching. Hey everybody, we are back. Sorry, things just kind of paused out there at the end. Loading into game number 2. Took a little bit of time to get the party started, but we are in another TvT between these two players in the best of 3 for the Corsair Cup. Spawning in the bottom right side of the map. He only lost, but just barely, I feel. It's the red Terran, Optimus.
In the top left, as the blue Terran, he is uThermal.
Alright, so uThermal played a really great game when it came to control. You pointed out very early, and one of the things I really liked about that game was how much map control he had. Constantly having Marines spread at the start, then later on obviously it became a little bit more about the tanks and the drops, but it really did feel like even when he was on the outs of that game, so much of the map was under his jurisdiction.
Yeah, well, he definitely went for, kind of unintentionally, but I think uThermal plays this style anyways. You know, more Marines, less tanks. His factory got sniped early on. He didn't have that production, so he was kind of forced into it. But just generally, there's like two types of players. Pult, very big on tanks, very quick second factory. At least that's how I used to play. I haven't seen him in a while, and of course, won't be seeing him anymore. Anyways, but he, he's very stable, defensive. Would have very just like precise attacks because tanks were very positional. Clearly, uThermal in true uThermal spirit, just being like the scrappy Terran guy that kind of brute forces in clever ways. Just go with Marines, man, and remake them too. Like as long as you have an economy. It's so weird to enunciate in, as long as you have an economy, you can reproduce Marines, all right? And you run around with Marines, hope to catch Optimus out of position. It worked. It was a good job there. Now Optimus is probably just hitting his desk after losing his 4th command center twice. To what was just basic Marines, no medevacs.
By the way, for me, that was a really cool example of, again, how StarCraft can go expectedly and still not have the same results. For example, we all know a Terran player, if you got to pick a base to lose versus your expansion versus your production, you always prioritize keeping your production alive. And uThermal was the one who took the worst end of that trade without a doubt. Okay, Optimus lost a command center that hadn't built, it wasn't even an orbital, it was just on its way over, and that kind of sucked. But uThermal had lost a very important building like a factory, 3 barracks, etc. And by all means that makes sense in StarCraft's universe, uThermal should have been the one squirming and had been a hell of a time playing that game. And I'm sure he did to an extent, don't get me wrong, but it's just kind of cool and awesome to see when things don't go quite as expected. Similar fight in the middle of the map, but a mirror matchup, but the grenade takes a huge lead for uThermal, and honestly, if that second Reaper had not died just now, this might have actually been game.
Yeah, that would have been very problematic. uThermal chasing down the Hellion is also like a little bit maybe questionable, but I don't think there's much he could have done with just a Hellion and a Reaper, assuming the Hellion can't even get through the wall off, which it would not have been able to. But I think he would have been able to kill the SCV on the command center. And now I think he should still be able to, but it's like a little more in question. It's actually really close to finishing, so okay, he's gonna get it. But Marines are being reactored out, just tank on the way. 5 seconds. Oh, this is dangerous for Optimus. Pulls SCVs, but grenades, man. Finishes command center. That's all I wanted. This is 3 SCDs for that, so he does take the worst trade as well as the army trade as well. But these things are pretty small unless they snowball, in which case they can be huge. I haven't snowballed yet.
So what you're saying is it's small unless it's huge. Got it.
It's small until it's nothing for one player.
It's small until Senpai has something to say about it. Okay. Tank, gonna try and siege up, obviously, for Optimus. I think leaving it unsieged for the time being is actually not a bad idea at all. He wants mobility on his side without a medevac. But yeah, here we go with the unsieged tank versus the sieged tank. It's a little bit of a tough fight to take.
This might be snowballing. Oh no, we shouldn't use that tank. Oh god, that was too close.
Too close
Thermal,
for comfort,
please.
yeah.
Thermal, please. Alright, so that's going to be able to send him off, actually. That was probably a little scary for Optimus. If that tank had been repositioned a little bit quicker, or if uThermal had pulled back his Marines, let the tank do most of the gut work. Grunts, that's what I'm looking for. Gut and brunts. grunt work, then maybe he takes out all of Optimus's army. And of course, from then on, it's a little bit scary. Optimus barely holding on, though. Okay.
Unconventional to see an auto turret clean that up, but it does, so no worries there.
That tank is so low. Oh, he's gonna try and get the medevac. Oh, he will get it. Oh, that Cyclone lived.
And
wow.
it kills the medevac. Okay, wow. Nicely done out of Optimus.
Well, I don't think that was expected at all from uThermal. I think he was expecting at least getting the tank out, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's a little dangerous. He's, waiting for a third base behind all this. He was, minor forms of aggression that, again, can potentially snowball, but more importantly, give him the confidence to get a third base on location. Maybe not so confident anymore. Yeah, he's even losing a couple more Marines. It's scary, but he does have a Banshee follow-up. In fact, the Banshee's already here, which should continue to keep the Optimus back at home. And it's not like Optimus has an army to really move across the map either, unless he knew there was a reason to, unless he knew the third T was down, which I don't think he's had scouting since that one Hellion ran across the map.
Oh, it's gonna be annoying for you to put Neo CVs on it.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean the tank obviously isn't getting enough on its own to kill the command center, but still little bits of harassment. I really hate it because the term's been ruined by other people, but I really like to call things like this microaggression. It just kind of is exactly what it is.
Oh, like the real world equivalent of microaggression? Because I agree, that's like a good phrase to use for it, but I guess I know it.
It really has been ruined by social justice warriors and all that.
Sure, that's what we talk about. The Banshee's actually doing a lot of damage, but the Raven, 2 Vikings, right there.
I guess he's too busy
there.
He was too busy trying to micro on the other side of the map, and that's costing him way too much. I mean, losing 2 or 3 SCVs because you're looking elsewhere is actually kind of acceptable. It's the Banshee's meant to do some damage. But 10, 11, something in the main now too. This is getting so out of hand for Optimus.
And Optimus doesn't want to really use his scans, so he finally uses one. The Raven can only go to one place, but after 15 SCVs went down, that is pretty terrible. I mean, he was already behind a couple SCVs from the early game, so now he's total behind 16, 17. At least their third CCs are getting saturated, well, kind of around the same point.
Marcos 4912 just reset for 18 months and says, "It's our second child, Rifkin. You better start sending some money." Why do you assume that I would be the one to get you pregnant the second time around? Man, you were lying in bed. It was kind of a groggy night, and I told Zombie Grub to tag in for me. I was tired.
This turned really weird.
I'm 100% sure that's your baby.
You could have gone with at least I haven't seen you in a year, Marcos. That's someone else's baby. But no, you went with this weird we live in the same place and.
No, I remember the night pretty clearly. I was having a pretty rough day. It was tough. You gave me we did the high five tag out like it's wrestling, and he was already lying down, so he was good to go. And you just slipped right in there.
That's
Easy
weird.
peasy lemon squeezy.
You're weird. I ain't paying child support.
Neither am I, is what I'm trying to say here. This is why I'm trying to put this off on you, man. I'd be weird rather than a sucker who pays child support. Wait
a minute. You didn't even pay child support for the first baby that you're acknowledging is yours.
I didn't say the first one's mine. I'm saying the second one isn't. That does not infer that the first one's mine.
It does infer, but it doesn't state. You're correct. And he said that, but it does infer.
Whatever. I don't got time for your lawyer words, Zombie Grub. I'm just a simple country boy. Who might not know that a city slick. I was gonna go for it, damn it. Don't beat me to the chicken. uThermal, by the way, is about to just demolish Optimus. Holy moly. This is such an insanely different game, too. Hang on, before you even leave the game screen, this is, okay, Optimus vs. uThermal game 1. That was such a well-matched TvT, and something that was wow, I can't believe these two are on the same skill level. This is crazy cool to me to watch. I don't know what happened between game 1 and game 2, but Optimus is just not, was he just emotionally destroyed after that first game? I don't understand.
He might have been tilted a little bit from the early game, already figuring he was behind because of the Banshees and the Reaper and all that.
Well, we've seen Optimus play a lot, and I am still glad to see him on the up and up. Again, it might not mean much to hear, guys, but Optimus is a player that has been playing for a long time, and to see him even be good enough to fight against uThermal in that first game the way he did speaks volumes on how far he's come and improved as a player. So I do hope we'll see more of him. That being said, that leads us into the round of 8 shortly. So another best of 3 on deck. uThermal will play the winner of Bly or Super, which frankly we might just follow. Other sides of the bracket, you got Mana, who is streaming his matches. So you'll be able to see them over there if we don't cast it. Guru's doing pretty well on the south side. Alive still in this as well. So do stick around, folks. We're not going to like a big commercial break, but it is just going to be a short 2-minute one. We'll come back and talk about some stuff that is on my mind, and we'll see you guys soon.